No. No. I'm done. Imagine activating that on accident. What a nightmare. So you've killed the nightmare, and you're ready to fight Phosani's nightmare. In this guide, I'll help you get your first KC. Phosani's is a solo boss fight, and agreed by many to be quite difficult. With this guide, I hope to make it less intimidating, because this boss fight is actually really fun, and you can make serious money here. Oh, was that the first one too? I messed up already. And it was just updated to be easier. The first thing we'll be covering is prayers. Phosani's is attacking the whole fight, randomized attacks, just like Desert Treasure. Once the animation is finished is when the damage is done. You're going to want to rely on audio cues. Practice listening until you can identify them with your eyes closed. The melee happens faster and it does more damage. There's a number of ways you can deal with the melee. The first is to simply step away one or more squares. That's kind of more advanced. I recommend just being quick with your melee prayer. You're gonna miss it a few times and die, but eventually you'll get it. Phosani's does a number of random attacks throughout the entire fight. The most common is the single grasping hand. I got really lucky there. The first option is to step anywhere that doesn't have a glowing black circle. The second option is to use this save spot. On any of the corners, it's unlikely a shadow will spawn, but it's not 100% reliable. So when you're learning, just try and dodge. The next special we'll be talking about is the husks. Each special attack has an indicator that'll tell you which one it's going to be. The skull face on this one will tell you that it's going to be a husk attack. Try and keep your prayer tab open and be ready for a melee attack because they can happen at any time. Just bonk them with your crush weapon. You'll probably kill them in one hit. The husks will deal damage to you, and they can kill you if you're low, but also they will immobilize you, which is the reason you want to avoid fighting from underneath Phosani's, because they can make you stuck during the shadow grasping hands, which during the husks don't spawn underneath you, but the big one that spawns under her will still do damage. The next random special is the Parasite. This little bug will fly out of Phosani's mouth, and you'll have to use a dose of Sanfew serum. This acts like a super restore and restores all your stats as well as your prayer and gets rid of the pink status effect. Then about 15 seconds later, this little bug spawns and you gotta kill it, otherwise it will heal Phosani or attack you. The bug hits you, your health bar turns pink, and you have to use the Sanfew dose before it spawns or it'll deal a bunch of damage to you. And then as soon as it spawns, you need to kill it or it'll deal even more damage to you. Here's an example of what happens if you don't use the Sanfew. Whatever weapon you use to hit it will deal its max hit and damage, and it's recommended you bring either a God Sword or the Elder Maul to hit it. I don't know what this is. The Cursed Prayer Swap. Your screen turns all pink, and all your prayers are switched one to the left. You're going to want to use screen markers. Click the green plus, click your prayer, and then change the color. This will help you a lot when you're learning. You can just use what colors make sense to you. Alright, screen turns pink, all the prayers are switched to the left. Look how my ranged prayer turns to melee. And there are two ways that you'll know that it's over. You want to listen for this sound. It's kind of hard to pick up on at first. This sound means that it's back to normal. You can also just keep an eye on your overhead prayer and watch for when it switches back. My final advice for the prayer swap is to verbally say colors when you see it happen, so you remember to switch your prayers, and say no colors when it's back to normal, or something like that. It's crazy, I'm almost to the 4th phase again. This next attack is the Surge. Yeah, you're not going over there. If you get hit by it, you'll take 90 damage.
Not the salmon.
No!
Sauce.
Phosani's drops out of sight and appears somewhere at the edge of the map. Then they fly across the map in the direction they're facing. The reason I got hit here is because I couldn't actually turn my run energy back on. And you'll see why on this special. What even is that? Oh, it might have. Oh, that's great. The biggest threat during this phase is the shadow grasping hands. The mushrooms actually aren't that dangerous. Oh my god. Wait, I stepped on my... I recommend not attacking during this phase and just dodge while you learn. I died a lot on this phase when I was learning. The most important thing is not to panic if you step on a mushroom. Stepping on a mushroom can be dangerous if Phosani surges, but otherwise, all it does is drain your prayer and make you slower. But it doesn't actually do any damage, and if you hit a shadow tendril, it will do 60 damage. So if you step on a mushroom, just keep walking. Don't worry about it. The next special also has constant shadow grasping hand attacks. One of the 4 quadrants is safe. If you step out of the quadrant, you start taking these little bees, and they will kill you very quickly.
Oh, I did it. Oh, right up. Ow, okay. I'm out of mana. Oh, see you later, loser! I almost killed it.
Also, you can't walk underneath Phosani, except for those 4 corners that we talked about earlier, otherwise you will die. Phosanis will drop down, similar to the surge, but then appear in the middle. This is how you know it's the flower. Also that weird symbol underneath it. Go into this green quadrant and avoid the shadow circles, similar to the mushroom attack.
You can also use these squares as safe spots on her. Now doing that is great, but it's like weeks walking when you're learning Warcraft. Just fucking don't, because you're gonna die.
As soon as you get her blue health bar down, it turns green, and it's time to enter the first non-random phase, Totems. You want to equip as much % magic damage gear as possible. Don't attack Phosanis anymore, like I am doing here, you won't do any damage. I'm not doing damage. I'm supposed to be doing pillars right now, huh? While you're attacking the totems, Phosani still does all the same attacks, and it can sometimes be a lot to keep track of, especially while you're switching your gear. The health bar turns green, and you hear this sound. In the beginning, I only had a 4-piece magic gear swap, and you can bring as much as you're comfortable with. Take as long as you need to swap the gear while still praying correctly. You can do 1 piece at a time, pray, do another piece, and take as long as you need. Now what happens if the husks spawn during the totem phase? All you need to do is equip your blunt weapon, and you'll be able to kill them in 1 hit. Once they're dead, you can switch back to your mage gear and continue damaging the totems. And the more comfortable you get with gear swapping, the more pieces of gear you can switch between prayers. And soon you'll be able to do an entire swap without having to change your prayers at all. Here's an example with bad gear. I just switched to the dragon mace, turn my piety, and kill him in 1 hit. Now what happens if a parasite spawns? You don't have to wait till the parasite spawns to switch your gear, you can do it well in advance, so you're not stressed when it spawns. This was an early KC, so I was still switching to my entire melee gear setup, and this isn't necessary. For your first KC, just equip your God Sword or Elder Maul, and kill it in 2 hits. Now let's go back to my 3rd attempt at the first KC. I tried to kill it with my magic gear, I missed a shadow tendril, and I still don't manage to kill it, so it's healing the totem currently. Phosani then starts the flower power move, so I have to get into the quadrant, and you can see that trying to kill the parasite there puts me in a dangerous spot, and ultimately leads to my death.
I don't know what that was. Oh, can't be under her.
That little asshole. Prioritize avoiding damage over killing the parasite. Once you charge all the totems, we enter the next phase. Sleepwalkers. I want to show you this early attempt because it's funny, but keep in mind that there are 2 now that spawn on the first one. Oh my god, I missed the first one! Oh boy, I hope that's not a lot of damage. It is. It is a lot of damage. You finish charging all the totems, and then 2 sleepwalkers spawn, and if you miss both of them, the same thing happens. You die. And if you miss just one of them, you'll take a lot of damage. How much damage? 77 damage, which you can survive. As soon as you charge the totems, head to the center and equip your crossbow or webweaver bow. Then zoom out so you can see the whole field. and then as soon as you see the XP, you click on the next Sleepwalker. Now switch back to your melee gear and get ready to pray. If you equipped your Light Bearer during the magic phase, you should have a spec to use, which you can do so now. The second totem phase, 3 Sleepwalkers spawn, which is why you need to bring the Hambone or Goblin Launcher, otherwise you will not attack them fast enough. So you hit the first 2 with the Web Weaver bow, and then you equip your Hambone and then attack the third. And remember to attack the next one as soon as you see the XP. The third totem phase, 4 Sleepwalkers spawn. You have more time, so don't panic. Hit the first 3 with the crossbow, wait for the XP, and then on the 4th one, equip the Hambone. I'm probably going to miss this one a lot when you're starting out. You just take 40 damage, so get ready to heal up and then prepare for the Enrage phase. But first, let's cover what changes in the third normal phase before the Enrage phase. If you have the prayer selected, when Phosani attacks you, it will unequip your prayer. Here's my advice for this phase. If your prayer gets turned off, that means you had the right prayer equipped, so just re-equip it. If it doesn't get turned off, that means you're praying wrong and you need to change. This becomes especially confusing during the Curse special. I had what looked like my magic prayer equipped, but it didn't turn off, so that meant it was the wrong prayer.
Something else to note is that Phosani does a lot more melee attacks during this phase. During this phase, you especially want to be watching your prayers. Keep your prayer tab open almost the entire phase. The curse is confusing, but it can be made easier if you remember. If your prayer gets turned off, turn that same one back on. Another tip I have
For any totem phase,
is that if something spawns, like mushrooms, the Parasite, or especially the husks, do not charge the final totem. So I usually leave one totem almost charged, so I wait until there's a safe moment to finish charging. And especially when you're starting out, you're probably not going to deal damage during the Shadow Tendril phases. You finish charging the final totem phase, you kill all 4 Sleepwalkers, and then there's an Enraged phase. And this is really what probably intimidated me the most. You want to save your specs so that you have 100 spec energy when you enter the Enraged phase. So don't use any specs in the third phase. And this is basically a DPS check. You're going to be taking 15 damage. Each one of those Sleepwalkers hits Phosani's. So you want to damage her down as quickly as possible while dodging the Shadow Tendrils, which deal around 40 to 60 damage.
don't try and attack the Sleepwalkers. You'll just step on Shadow Hands.
Just keep attacking her, dodge the tendrils, focus on dodging tendrils more than dealing damage. You want to have physical food items ready for this phase, similar to the Jad phase when you're dealing with the healers. And then you'll get your first KC.
"13 minutes. Woo. Finally, I'll teach you how to corner step. This is actually far easier than dodging the Shadow Tendril. Oops. You stand under the corner, and as soon as you see the grasping hand, you click on her, and it'll move you off the square. Then immediately click back under Phosani's. And you can use this during the totem phases as well. You just click off manually as soon as you see the tendril hand, and then click on the totem. And then as soon as you've attacked, click back onto the safe spot. The reason you can't just stay on the safe spot is because the Shadow Hands spawn underneath you. So you want to be off the square when the Shadow Hand spawns, and then move back onto the safe spot so it doesn't hit you. My final advice is to look for little improvements as victories. Every time you make it to a new phase, or do a part successfully, feel good about yourself.
I used to die and I teleported.
Here are some inventory suggestions, and for your gear, I recommend just bringing the best melee gear you have, with your weapon set to crush. Check the wiki under Phosani strategies for a detailed overview of the gear, and see what you can afford. A lot of these tips I learned before I even got my first KC from a friendly player who had over 300 KC named Laze. He was possibly lazy, but I always had Laze in my mind. This was one of the most helpful tips, to stop bringing this stupid blowpipe, because the range is so much better on the Web Weaver. He also taught me how to do the lazy step, where during the Shadow Tendril phase, you step 3 squares away instead of just 1, like this, and you can dodge the shadows pretty reliably, and even more reliably if you step in an L shape, which is the true lazy step.